Public Works is a community-based program that brings people together from all walks of life.
People working together, that joy, the imagination, the equity, that keeps me coming back. There's a sense of community.
Once a year, we come together to produce a musical adaptation of a classic. We were getting really close to auditions for The Winter's Tale when everybody went into lockdown. It was important for us to stay connected with our community during that time.
At least for myself, I didn't quite grasp how important it is to be in community. I think especially after our 2 years in isolation, just the idea of being able to do this felt so out of reach.
People were kind of turning to us for some connection. That community that we'd built over time was really beneficial in this moment. We went back and forth a lot, and then we figured out that the most important thing was to do something with community and to make it theatrical.
There was a moment in early 2021 where we had to make a decision whether or not we wanted to try to do this show in a condensed fashion, do it outdoors.
But we wanted to do it safely. So we went to the original creative team that we talked to about doing Winter's Tale on stage and said, hey, how do you guys feel about a movie?
I said, I would love to do it if we can do it like a film. Like, let's just embrace the fact that this is not gonna be a Zoom play on screen, but let's try to make it as close to a movie as we can. And none of us knew how to make a movie. But that was also why it was so exhilarating to try.
After spending a year and a half to 2 years alone in my apartment and feeling like theater was hanging on a thread, I didn't really think that I would be in a room with 75 people ever again. And it's different, but I feel that I'm more appreciative of it.
Everything changed daily, our plans changed daily. But with a lot of planning, a lot of self-educating and conversations with folks in the parallel field of film, we were able to figure out how to make a film as a theater company.
It would be a challenge, it'd be new for the community to do, it'd be new for me to do. And I think that was the genesis of how this whole thing started, was this idea that what if, right?
It's not what people expected, but everyone's doing the best that he or she can. And it's been wonderful.
We were really lucky that we had been in relationship with a documentary filmmaker for a number of years. So he's been getting to know our community and he's become part of our community. And when it was time for us to make a film, he was the first person we talked to. And we were like, hey, Derek, what do you think about this? Do you think this is possible?
When Angie and the team approached me to do it, it was like an excited curiosity is probably the best way to describe it. I come from a documentary background, so thinking about filming a scripted musical was definitely out of my natural environment.
We didn't know what we were doing. We were kind of like fumbling, and it was awkward and strange. And at the same time, this medium, this way of storytelling is not far from what we do, right? It feels like, I keep making this joke, it's like film and TV are like the neighbors next door that theater has known its entire life, but has never bothered to like knock on the door and ask for some sugar, right? That's what.
There was a level of flexibility and improvisation that is more present in the way that we approach filming this project than I think you would see on a natural kind of musical film.
It was really important to me that we honor the fact that this was originally a theater piece. So we actually staged it like a play.
As a documentary filmmaker, I'm very comfortable coming into a space and sort of visually exploring it with the camera. And I think what that allowed us to do with Winter's Tale is to have Des basically create the scene in 360 degrees and then just allowed me to like come in with the camera and explore.
And it was actually a lot of fun to be able to get inside the choreography, to get inside the staging, to put the audience inside the scene. It's a lot like doing theater, except that you get to move the audience wherever you want to, from moment to moment to moment.
You can be a lot smaller with it. I don't have to go to the last row. The camera sometimes is right here.
This idea of dialing the performance down for a camera, not playing it like big, right? We don't have to play for the theater, we're playing it for the size of the room.
It's been different, for sure. And I won't have seen the whole show until everyone does.
The process isn't as linear as it is with theater. The idea that we are doing this show, but we have never seen it all together until, in December, is so unique and, in some ways gives me a little bit of anxiety.
In the theater, we're so used to rehearsing the scene, and at a certain point, you run the entire play from top to bottom, so you have a sense of how it's all going. And while we were filming, we never had a sense of that. We would just shoot every scene in isolation. Whatever location we could get to was what we shot that day.
Instead of breaking a scene into multiple small pieces, we ran scenes from top to bottom, which is definitely not a standard film technique. But what that allowed is the theater actors to get comfortable in the moment. It gave us a chance as camera to move around and be a little bit free.
They say that there's 3 parts of theater. There's the story, there's someone to tell it, and then there's someone to hear it. And so not actively having that third party there to hear it and be a part of that cycle changes it. And so you just have to trust that Derek and his crew are going to embrace what it is that we're doing and who we are in a way that helps our viewing audience still feel like they're a part of it with us.
To have a team that does what it does so well as theater makers and still be able to hold on to our skills and pivot to a whole new set of playground rules and support each other and acknowledge that we have needs and we're all learning, and to stumble and be willing to make mistakes along the way, it's been very, very humbling.
I think it's been really important for Public Works to put this on as they climb out of the pandemic and the lockdown. It's changed people's mental health and made them happier. Each person has their individual story and what's bringing out a spark in them that got kind of mummed during this time. You go from a mindset or a difficult day into a role, it changes you. And the people around you change you when you're going in the same direction.
Community is built by bringing people together, working toward a similar goal, exploring similar philosophies together. And I think it's the intentionality that makes the program so strong.